Hey guys, Mr. Muscato with you again. So this is part two of the basic slideshow project tutorial. In part two, we're going to take a look at the first few layers of the project. All right, so in part one, we took a look at alpha values. Let's take a look at the project again, just to remind us of what it is that we're doing. All right, so basically what's happening is the life cycle of each image is pretty straightforward. It starts off with an alpha value of 0, and then it increases to an alpha value of 100 after 12 frames. So in other words, it fades in from being fully invisible to being fully visible in 12 frames. That image then displays fully for 24 frames, 1 full second, and then it fades out in the last half second. All right, so again, another 12 frames, right? So it goes from an alpha value of 100 to an alpha value of 0, and then that image is done. All right, so there's a total of 5 images here. All right, there 4 of the images follow the exact same pattern. All right, half a second fade in, fully visible for 1 full second, half a second fade out. Okay, and then when one image fades out, another image is fading in, so they kind of overlap. All right, the only image that doesn't follow that precise pattern is the first image, the first layer. Okay, and the reason for that is when we start the slideshow, right? So I'm going to start the slideshow here. The logo comes on fully visible. All right, so what's happening here is that the logo comes on fully visible and then it fades out. And then the other images do their thing, fade in, display, fade out. And then the first image, the very last bit of this, is as the fourth image is fading out, the first image is fading in, and then that's when we create the loop. Okay, so that's the end of the slideshow. So the end of the slideshow is actually right there. Okay, so let's take a look at how to create these first few layers. All right, so if you remember from the last project, all right, we had left our Crusader logo built. We had made a symbol at this point, and I didn't want to bore you guys. So what I went ahead and did was I had 5 images, and I turned them all into symbols. All right, so they're all sitting in my library here, ready to go. All right, all of our changes are going to be accomplished with motion tweens. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to do, right, I'm going to make sure that this guy's in the right position. All right, so he's in the middle of my stage, which is all good. All right, and then what I want to do is I want to apply a motion tween to him right away. Okay, so right click on him, create motion tween. All right, Flash automatically gives me 1 full second of animation, which is what I want. Okay, the image, right, is going to come on fully visible and stay fully visible for 1 full second. So the first part of my motion tween, for the first 24 frames, nothing is going to happen. All right, so I'm not going to change this guy. I'm not going to move him. I'm not going to do anything. The only thing that I will do is add another keyframe at frame 24 so that I have an endpoint to the first part of my motion tween. All right, so FN F6 or F6 for the Lenovo guys adds a keyframe there. Okay, and then what I do want at this point is that for that logo to fade out, in other words, go from an alpha value of 100% down to an alpha value of 0 in half a second, 12 frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move out to frame 36, all right, 12 frames after 24, press the F6 key, and then I'm going to manipulate the alpha values. Okay, so the alpha value of my object at frame 36 is going to be 0. So remember from part 1, we go to Properties. Okay, I click on the symbol to make sure that I'm looking at the properties for the symbol. The color effect slider is here. I'm going to set that value down to 0. All right. Now, I do want to go back and check the alpha values for my other two keyframes, and they should be at 100%. All right, which in this case they are. Okay, so I have an alpha value of 100% at 1. I have an alpha value of 100% at frame 24, and I have an alpha value of 0 at frame 36. If I was just to run this one piece, that's what I would get. All right, so it's fully visible for 1 second, and then it fades out for the last 12 frames, the last half second. All right, at this point, I'm ready for layer 2. I'm going to go ahead and lock layer 1, add a new layer. Okay, go to my first frame, go to my library. All right, and I'm going to add the next image. All right, so let's say that I want to add this team picture. All right, so he's already a symbol, so I'm just going to drag him down onto the stage. All right, and drop him on there. All right, now he's going to be too big, so we're going to resize him. All right, so I'm going to make him, let me zoom out on my stage a little bit here, and I'm going to use the free transform tool again to resize this image to make it approximately the size of the stage. It doesn't have to be perfect, all right, but it should be pretty close. All right, so that's about where I want it to be. Maybe a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay. So now, this image has to have an alpha value of 0 until it's going to start to fade in. All right, so what I'll do here is it's already a symbol, okay, and I'm going to go ahead and apply a motion tween to this. All right, so create motion tween. All right, at frame 1, I want it to have an alpha value of 0. Okay, so I'm going to go to Properties, make sure that I have the image selected. My alpha value is going to be 0. Okay, so you can see it set there. Okay, and then from frame 24 to frame 36, I want it to fade in. All right, so I'm going to add another keyframe at frame 24. And while I'm here, I might as well go ahead and add another keyframe at frame 36. Okay. At frame 24, I want the alpha value to be 0, so that's correct. And then at frame 36, I want the alpha value to be 100. Okay, so what I have so far, I'm not done with that image yet. Okay, what I have so far is this. All right, so I have the logo fully visible on layer 1. All right, that displays for 24 frames, 1 second. Now, as the logo starts to fade out, all right, that team picture starts to fade in. Okay, and finally, when the logo is fully invisible, the team picture is fully visible. All right, so we get something that looks like that. So that's that fade out, fade in, that simultaneous transition that we're looking for. Okay, the team picture is going to be fully visible for 24 frames. All right, so 36 plus 24 is 60, so I'm going to move out to frame 60, and I'm going to add a keyframe there. Okay, so again, our image is fading in. It's fully visible for 1 full second. And then from frame 60, I want it to start to fade out again. So from frame 60 to frame 72, half a second, it's going to go from an alpha value of 100 down to an alpha value of 0. So I'm going to add a final keyframe here for layer 3 at frame 72. Okay. And at frame I'm going to add the third layer here, okay? And basically we're going to follow the same pattern. We're just going to start it, we're going to start the fade in part of it a little bit later, right? So I don't want the next image to actually start fading in until we get to frame 60. Okay, so we're going to lock the second layer there. In this case, it's layer 3 for whatever reason. Okay, I'm going to add a new layer, right? Layer 4. I'm going to go find my next image. All right, so I guess we can, let's see, I guess, yeah, we'll throw the crazies in there. Or actually, we'll throw in the team banner picture. Drop that on, resize it again, free transform tool. All right, we'll make it approximately the size of the stage. It's a little bit bigger, that's okay. Okay, it's already a symbol. I'm going to apply a motion tween to it. Okay, at frame 1, I want the image to have an alpha value of 0. So I'm going to go to the Properties tab, not the Transform tool, but the Properties tab. For my image, alpha value is going to be 0. At frame 60, I'm going to add a new keyframe there. Okay, and again, that image is still going to be 0 at frame 60, and then from 60 to 72, it is going to fade in, right? Alpha value change from 0 to alpha value 100. So I'm going to add a keyframe at 72, and the alpha value at that point is going to be 100. So the whole idea here is that this layer 4 image, okay, is going to be fully invisible until frame 60, and then as that team picture fades out, all right, the team busting through the banner is going to fade in. That image now is going to be visible for 1 full second. All right, so we're at frame 72. We want it to be fully visible for a full second. So 72 plus 24 is 96. I'm going to go out to frame 96. I'm going to press the F6 key, right? That alpha value is still 100%. That's what I want. And then from frame 96 to frame 108, 12 frames, I want it to fade out. So I'm going to add a final keyframe for that layer at frame 108 and set the alpha value down to 0. Okay, so this is what we have so far. Okay, the basic pattern is there. All right, an image fades in. Okay, as another image fades out, image is fully visible for 1 full second. Then that image starts to fade out, and another image starts to fade in. That's the basic pattern. All right. So in the last part of the video, part 3, we're going to finish this up. All right. So we're going to add our 4th layer, which is basically going to mimic layers 3 and 4 here, the second and third layers here that I created, and then we're going to take a look at how to finish, or we're going to add the 4th image, right? So we're going to add the third and the third and the 4th images, and then we're going to finish out by modifying layer 1 again. All right, so we'll see you in part 3 of the tutorial.